Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Crafting Your Professional Portfolio. We're talking about self-promotion. I'm Alvalyn Lundgren. So we're working on developing a professionally presented portfolio that is both print and digital that will showcase your unique work, approach, and point of view looking for jobs or clients. In this session, we're specifically looking at developing a promotion strategy. So promotion or self-promotion is an aspect of marketing. Marketing is something you need to be doing and actually are doing every time you show your portfolio, every time you send out a promotional piece, every time you talk about your work to other people, you're marketing. An essential component of marketing is a business card. And yes, they are still viable and still very much in use. When you develop visual branding for your work, for your portfolio, or even personally, a business card will be part of that mix. It's one of the first things you should develop. It's the promotional piece you will use most often. It's versatile, it's small, it's easy to carry, it's easy to give away. People expect to receive business cards in business situations. You need to think about it as your primary marketing piece. During conversations, when you're meeting people, when you're at a networking event, when you're meeting clients for the first time, when you are on a job interview, it allows a quick exchange of information, and using it is actually a transactional understanding. You are giving a person something that represents you, and they are accepting it. And they'll usually give you one back. Your business card should help extend your brand. It should be designed so that it's relevant to your portfolio and your work and the kind of work you want to focus on. Sharing your business cards will help keep you top of mind long after your interview or meeting has concluded. Business cards are essentially interactive. They are interactive in an analog way in that you hold them in your hand, you can flip them over, you can write on them, you can wrap a thumb or finger against them and they make noise. You can fling them across the room. You can fold them. They are essentially interactive. And when you meet people, you can still carry on a conversation at the same time handing somebody your business card. You don't have to stop the conversation to get out your phones and do a digital airdrop of contact information or open up your contact list and have the person key in their number. It doesn't stop the conversation. So conversations are carried on over, in, and around the use of a business card. A business card is the mark of a professional. A business card is not a brochure. I've had many discussions with clients about what to include on a business card, and basically the minimum viable information, the minimum necessary information is what should be included. And basically it's essential contact stuff. It's your name, the name of your business if you have one, your phone number, your email, and your website. And that's essentially it. So include only what's absolutely necessary to get hold of you. You want to make sure the information is legible, that your point size on your type is large enough to read without squinting or pulling out a pair of reading glasses. The color of the lettering against the background should have enough value contrast that it is easy to read. A standard size U.S. business card is 3.5 inches by 2 inches. This is the most common card size and the one that is most expected. There's been a trend in square business cards that are about 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. And then there is a European size, which is a little different proportion, but approximately the same scale as a U.S. size business card. The square card and the European proportion card are certainly okay to use, and what you choose to use is up to you. Just remember that business cards are often filed away, and where your business card might stand out because it's oversized or an odd size, at the same time, there's certain things that will keep it from having favor if it doesn't fit with the crowd. So just some things to consider. Certainly, it's your choice. Using both sides of the business card is a good idea. A lot of times people will use one side to showcase a piece of work or as sort of a background pattern, and use the other side for the contact information. People who are multi-passionate will sometimes use one side of the card for one interest and the back side of the card for another. Gimmicks are things like folding business cards, die cuts, glittery foil stamped, thermographically printed business cards, things like that. These things are not really necessary for designers, illustrators, and photographers. They're really cool for other types of industries, but it's a good idea to be as businesslike and professional and elegant as possible. Invest in the best quality card and printing that you can afford. Certainly, you can design some cards and run them off on cover stock on your inkjet printer. But is that how you want to present yourself? There is a expectation of quality when you go on a job interview or you go talk with a client for the first time. You will be judged on the basis of the quality of your business card. This is a key thing. I can't tell you how many times I have met somebody just in passing and they've asked for my business card. So always carry a pile of business cards with you because they're small, they're very portable. You can carry them in your backpack, in your purse, in your pocket, in your wallet. Always have some with you to distribute. There are 3 ways to distribute self-promotion pieces other than your business card. There is direct mail, there's email, and there's face-to-face, hand-to-hand. So let's talk about direct mail. Direct mail is basically anything that's going to be printed and sent through the mail, or at least that's one of the functions of that printed piece. Most of the time, self-promotion pieces are postcards, and you can choose to send them using the postcard rate or the first class rate. That's up to you. You can machine address them. Other types of direct mail would be a brochure, a promotional brochure showcasing your work, anything that you can think of to use to promote yourself. Because they are going through U.S. mail, and because of the address scanning technology the Postal Service uses, the design of the printed piece needs to conform to standard mailing requirements, or else it will kick back to you or cost the recipient extra postage on the other end. Be sure that when you use direct mail that you are putting on appropriate postage and things are at the correct size for the postage. Another way of using a postcard is in person, where you have an interview or an initial consultation with a client and you hand the person your self-promotion. Now, even with email, direct mail is a really good idea, especially if you're freelancing. And one of the reasons is that art buyers and art directors at ad agencies and design firms love receiving stuff in the mail. They can file it away and stick it up on their wall. They can go back and look through when the right time comes and they're looking for somebody with your talents and skill. They can go and pull your things out and look at them and decide if you're the right person to call in to take a look at a possible job. You use direct mail to stay top of mind, to remind people that you're out there, that you're still around. You can use direct mail to introduce new work or a new client. You can announce something new about your business. There's a lot of ways you can use direct mail. You want to send things out to the same people about 3 or 4 times a year. Probably no more than 4. That would be once a quarter. 3 times would, of course, be every 4 months. There should be a regular consistency to the mailing frequency. Don't send the same thing each time. Send a different piece each time, but have the same look and feel to the overall postcard design so that everything you send fits within your brand. I often create a campaign or a series of related subjects or themes. I actually design all 4 pieces at once. I send about 4 a year, so I design all 4 at once and get them all printed at once, and then they're just there ready to go, ready to address and send. In the next session, we'll talk about where to find contact information, where you should send your direct mail pieces if you're a freelancer, and how you should use direct mail promotion if you are looking for a job. We should talk a little bit about tear sheets, where with direct mail, you can send new work that's never been seen before. You can also send work that you have completed and it has been published. So your postcard can have an image of the published work. Well, a tear sheet is from a real job. Historically, tear sheets were torn from magazines. They were brochures. They were things that were actually printed and in use. And they were included in a portfolio. The thing that tear sheets do is that they provide a context for your work. In other words, your work is actually being used. Currently, tear sheets are usually not torn out of magazines. You can take photos of the magazine or the book. You can have samples of the actual printed jobs on a go-see type of interview, and you can not only have an image in your portfolio of the work, but you can pull out the actual printed piece and hand it to the person you're talking with so that they can get the look and feel of the whole thing physically. It provides another level of experience that is going to help you make your mark in the minds of the people that you're interviewing with. Anytime you have work that's been published or printed and actually used in the marketplace, that should be included in your portfolio if it's really good work and it represents the kind of work that you want to continue to get or that you want to get more of. This is a oversized multi-page bound brochure that I designed a couple years ago. I had a ton of overruns when I got them printed, and so I started using these not just in my portfolio, but as leave behinds when I would talk with people. So using tear sheets or actual work, you show it alongside the standalone original design. People use promotional email all the time. You too can and should use promotional email if you want to promote your work into the marketplace for the purpose of getting clients or finding a job. There's a variety of ways you can use email. One of them is to send what's called a cold prospecting email or a warm prospecting email, where you're writing a cover letter, a letter of introduction, and you're linking to your website or your resume. Another way of using email is specifically to promote your work. You want to use email for the same reasons you want to use direct mail. It's to stay top of mind in the recipient's thinking, to remind them that you're still around, and so that when that job comes up that you might be a good fit for, they're going to remember to contact you about it. You'll use it to introduce new work, new website, new client. You're holding an event. You're going to be participating in an event. Anything about you, your business, your professional career is appropriate for an email promotion or announcement. It's a good idea to use email in addition to direct mail, and the reason is that unless you are going to be subscribing to certain email lists for agencies and design firms, you're going to have to do a lot of digging to find people's email. For example, I'm promoting my illustration work to certain book publishers. It's very difficult to find the contact information for art directors and art buyers at the publishers. They keep that very quiet. So you have to do a lot of sleuthing on LinkedIn. You have to do sleuthing on the internet. There's a lot of discovery that you have to do to try to find the email contact information of a specific person. This is a tear sheet email. This is an actual job. It appears to be a poster design with his illustration and some hand lettering. This is what he specializes in. And he's got a link box, and he has an agent, and you can follow him on Twitter and Instagram, and that's basically it. He just has his name, his business name, a very brief context statement. He has created the call to action button in the same color pulled from the illustration itself. It's very elegant, it's very quiet, and this is exactly how it came into my inbox. There's my email. This is another one, photographer that I hear from regularly. It is the name of the photographer. She's a rep, so this is one of her photographers that she represents. And she'll show 3 or 4 images that have some sort of related subject matter each time. And she sends these out about 4 times a year. These are not attached JPEGs, so the images are not file attachments. They are actually embedded in the code, and these are website pages. In fact, very often you'll see something that says view this in your browser. So that's the link to the actual email that's displayed as a website. So anytime you send or receive HTML email, you're sending a web page. You will want to use an email service provider. So an ESP, somebody like MailChimp, Constant Contact, MyEmma, Aweber, there's a variety of email service providers that will send HTML email. Some of them have tiers that are free until you get to a certain amount of sends per month or a certain number of people on your email list, and others have tiered pricing. So if you decide to send email promotions, you're going to want to use an ESP to do it. You're not going to want to send it out of your Gmail account because, of course, you're going to have a website URL, right? And the tactics on this is that within each email, you can send one image or several images. You can send just an image. You can send image with contextual explanation or description, caption. One of the things is that your emails should all look like they fit you, they fit your work, they mesh visually with your business card and any direct mail. They are consistent in look and feel with your website and professional social media presences. You want to make sure that you design your email so that it looks like you, so that there's a consistency. Because art buyers, art directors expect consistency from when they get mail from the same person over and over again. And also that consistency helps you differentiate your work and your brand from other people that they might be considering. Send probably minimum of 3, that would be every 4 months, but definitely no more than every other month. For self-promotion purposes, for illustration, design, photography, the most you would want to send is 6 times a year. Just like with direct mail, you'd want to create a campaign so that you do a series of related topics. You can include, as I said, descriptions or captions of the work. You don't need to necessarily. If you think something needs more of an explanation, by all means. As I said, in a lot of cases, you will need to dig for email addresses. You can also purchase or build your own list. We'll talk about these more in part 2, which is the next episode. But email is going to require a little more work in terms of finding a specific person to send things to. I wanted to come back around again to your portfolio development. You're right now in the process of composing and ordering and sorting your portfolio. And so I wanted to talk about the bigger picture things to keep in mind as you're going through that process. As you consider each piece as a candidate and you decide, yes, this is going into my portfolio, or no, this is not, you're going to go back and look at everything you have in your portfolio that you've decided is a yes, and you're going to review each of those pieces and consider how you're going to present them in a face-to-face interview and what you want to be able to discuss about that piece, about each and every piece that you've included in your book, is what was the background for each project, what was the goal for the project, what was the need or the context. This is something you need to be able to talk about, whether it's a actual professional piece or it is a piece done for the portfolio to get work. So you need to be able to talk about the reasons for the work in the first place. We've already gone through this in terms of the second assignment where you picked your top 3 and you shared what was your contributing role. You need to be able to talk about what you did to bring each piece into being. What did you uniquely contribute? Did you conceive the piece? Did you execute the piece under somebody else's direction? Were you part of a team and you had a certain responsibility over part of the work? What did you uniquely contribute to each piece that you're including in your portfolio? Because you're going to be asked that. Consider also, why is this in your portfolio? What does it represent? What do you want it to do for you? Be able to discuss that. Not for every piece, but for a few pieces, it's a good idea to show your process. So things that you've done as part of the process, so it gives people an idea of your process, how you work, and also how you think. And it will also give people an idea of attention to detail, which is important. For those pieces that you will include process images, what will you include as part of that process? Anything that you did that actually is more of a tear sheet for professional work that actually was used in the marketplace, what was the outcome of that work? did the work achieve the goal? If you designed an event invitation, both in print and a related piece that went out via email, did people respond and come to the event? How successful was it? What did that do for the client or for your employer? Be results oriented with anything you've done professionally. And that can be anything you did for an internship that was published or deployed publicly. People will want to know if your work is effective, and results are a measurement of the effectiveness of a piece of creative work. Also be prepared to talk about what you would do differently. This is a common question. You'll probably get that more from potential employers than you will from potential clients. But what would you do differently for each piece? Is there a way to improve upon it? If you are seeking employment in a design firm, an ad agency, a corporate art department, with a small business, or you're seeking clients who are business-minded, and even nonprofits are business-minded, everything in your portfolio needs to relate to or solve a practical problem. So we are not looking at fine art pieces in a professional design folio. We are not looking at self-expression or work being in your portfolio because you like it. Everything in your book needs to address a specific need or problem or purpose. This is what your work is used for. It's used to promote, it's used to increase donorship, it's used to increase sales, it's used to build influence, it's used to build awareness for your clients and your employers. So there has to be a very strong practicality about each of your pieces. That practicality includes research and background for your solution. I'm often asked, well, how did you come up with that idea? Or what's your process? And so I talk about once a design problem or premise is established, the first thing I do is research. I go and look at what's out there. I go and look at related industries. I go and look at other possibilities. I reach into my own archives and swipe files and things like that. And I gather background. I learn more about the industry that the client or the employer is in and what they're trying to accomplish. I go back to our conversations about the need for the design. What's the client or the employer trying to achieve with the work that you're doing? That all comes into play in a very, very practical sense, and all of that information and conclusions and summaries will drive the design concept stage, the review stages, and the final design development and deployment. The work in your portfolio should be of professional quality. It doesn't mean you have to have been paid for it, and it doesn't mean the work has to have been actually published. You can do work and include it in your portfolio for the purposes of getting a paid job or for obtaining clients, by all means. In fact, on my website right now, I have 2 pieces that I did just because it's the kind of work I want to do in a market sector that I want to serve. So yes, it's okay to include work that's not done for a client or as part of your employment. If personal projects are going to show your process, they're going to show how you think, how you solve complex problems. If they are going to be relatable to the prospective client or employer, then yes, show 1 or 2 personal projects. And by personal projects, we're referring to things that you're doing for your own interest. If what you're doing relates to your work in some way or expands on it, by all means include 1 or 2. Where you have a project that has a variety of pieces involved, such as an identity system, group everything together so it's displayed as a cohesive group, and be sure to photograph everything under good lighting. It's a good idea to consider developing a little bit of photography and lighting skills for the purposes of showcasing your own work. So here are 3 ideas of what I'm talking about. We have related pieces. This is a printed portfolio book and business cards of the square variety. This is a self-promotion and resume package. And this is a business and personal identity system. None of these are flat lay mock-ups. These have all been photographed by the designers. So you can see how presenting work together all in the same piece of real estate can be useful. Your other option is to use mock-ups, which you can get free or purchase on the internet at various websites, such as these. These are readily available on the internet. The trick is to use enough variety so every time you design a book, it's not using this particular mock-up. Again, it's always better to do your own photography because then things are unique. How you present your work is as important as the work itself. Take as much care to design your portfolio as you have designing and creating the pieces that are in the portfolio. Good work with a poor execution lowers the value of the work. This is a spread in a printed portfolio. Attention to detail has been paid to positioning, to color, to the structure of the pages, how they work together on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, typography, and how best to showcase the work. So this is the actual work, and this is a context shot. Be diligent in actually crafting the portfolio itself, not just in deciding on what work to include. Don't just throw your work into it. So the next assignment is related to developing a business card and a promotional piece along with continuing development on your portfolio. So look for assignment 6 in the coursework section for all the details and the due date. And if you have questions, ask.